Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, Vincent LaRusso and I are going to be covering a plethora of topics that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. First, we'll talk a little bit about Iron Maiden asking fans to limit their cell phone usage at concerts. We'll also talk a little bit about Zach Starkey and Josh Freese being relieved of their duties in both the Foo Fighters and The Who. And then we'll also talk about Ace Frehley and Billy Joel announcing that they had to cancel some shows. Ace for only one weekend, Billy Joel for this year and next as well. At the end, we'll bring all of these topics together, and we really look forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments on all of this. Alrighty, lots to cover in this episode. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I'm excited to have with me my buddy, my comrade, all geared up for the holiday weekend, Mr. Vincent LaRusso.
A lot of gears. Some of those gears I think need a little grease on it.
Grease.
Little WD-40.
You're not doing anything exciting this weekend?
You
don't have 47 gigs?
No, I do have a gig tonight. No, I am
Okay,
looking forward to that. Yes. But no other kind of, we just kind of lay low and just kind of play it by ear. I think this weather's been like, at least on the East Coast in New York, has been, listen, I'm not complaining.
No, it's been egregious. I'll complain. It's been egregious.
It is, but
we could have built a snowman this week, I felt like.
Well, that's true. However, I was going to say the winter was relatively, well, how much snow did we get? Hardly anything. It was, if it always could be like that, I'd be very happy. And I always say I'll take the rain and the chill right now, the 50-degree chill, than the snow and the 15 degrees. That's any time.
That's nobody has an idea what you're talking about there, but I do, and I enjoyed that reference.
They might someday,
Maybe one day. We'll see if we release that material. But anyway, I had said I wanted to jump on, talk a little bit about some of the news of the week, specifically the fact that Iron Maiden, who's going to be on tour later this year, had put out a press release. What do you have, like 72 Iron Maiden albums that you're going to pull out now?
I do have a couple here. You know how I always like to display some vinyl?
Of course.
Yeah. I got two here at least. What is this?
Looks like it's a little tight in there.
Yeah. These are not some of the more classic records, but I do have those in another section. But Power Slavy, J&R Music World, 488.
Well, and both of those are very appropriate to the conversation, because this year they're going to, when they're touring, it's going to be the Run for Your Lives tour, and they're going to only be doing basically stuff from the 80s. I think goes to like 92, but basically all those classic 80s albums. So the tour is going to be kind of a throwback to that time period where those albums were released. So to me, it's an exciting tour. It's a tour I'm actually hoping to catch, because I'd love to see some of those classic Maiden songs performed. And to me, the band still totally has it. They sound great. So I think it'll be a good tour. A very good tour.
Yeah.
But this week, they did put out a press release about the tour, basically asking fans if they could curtail their you like that word, curtail. I don't get to put that into the podcast often, curtail. So they're asking the fans if they could curtail their usage of iPhones during the show. And I've got the press release up over here. I'll read small pieces from it. It's a pretty long thing, but they said, keeping with the time period that made it keen for everyone to experience their spectacular shows as they would have back when these 80s, back when these first songs were played live in the 80s. In common with many other artists, the bands are now asking for fans to not excessively film concerts on their phones or tablets. I didn't even know people were bringing tablets to concerts, but okay, point still well taken. And then they had their manager with a little bit of a quote. We really want the fans to enjoy the shows firsthand rather than on their small screens. The amount of phone use nowadays diminishes the enjoyment, particularly for the band who are on stage looking out at rows of phones, but also for other concert goers. We feel that the passion and involvement of our fans at shows really makes them special, but the phone obsession has now got so out of hand that it becomes unnecessarily distracting, especially to the band. I hope the fans understand this and will be sensible in their severely limiting the use of their phone cameras out of respect for the band and their fellow fans. We would like you to be in the moment, and it goes on. Right. So, first, let me ask you, they're obviously not. We spoke about this when we did an in-person podcast episode about people locking some, artists asking you to lock up your phones or whatever. Iron Maiden's not locking up people's phones, but they're just asking you, try not to use them that much. Let me ask you this question. What do you think the likelihood is that the fans actually obey that request?
I think there'll be a smattering, and a few smattering of people who will do that.
Hmm.
But I mean, listen, I think I'll give them credit for this. They're trying to do it respectfully. They're asking, then not putting on an attitude or kind of making you feel threatened, if that's the right
Hmm.
word, by it. Um, Boy, do I wish I had a problem with people, filming me while I was playing on stage. And I mean, that would really diminish my feelings being on that stage. Listen, I was dipping my toe in the pool yesterday, not a literal pool, and yours isn't really open yet.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, oh, I saw Ringo Starr is going to be playing, again. I said, let me go. And I went to Radio City, and remember we went to go see him. I don't
Yes.
remember what we paid for the ticket prices, but I think they were fairly
Yeah, it
reasonable.
was reasonable, I think. Yeah.
Right. And I just could not believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst seat in the house was if you bought two tickets, was $450. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is way out of control,
It
you
is.
know? So my reason why I'm saying that is like, if I pay that kind of money, I'm going to bring a stove. I'm going to cook eggs. I'm going to do whatever I want and do whatever the hell I want. That's legal. All right. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
I
And
just feel
to
like,
that point, I looked up tickets for the Who because we had spoke about that.
yeah,
Face value, $1,000 a ticket for some tickets at Jones Beach. I was like, this
that's,
is freaking, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts.
well, in that I feel like it's a little bit more justified because you actually get the audio call where they fired Zach Starkey again.
Oh, is
So
that what it
that's
is?
it's a fan experience.
Okay.
It's not a backstage. No, no.
I was wondering how you're going to justify that, but okay.
Don't even let me get started on that one. That was
And this was not like a VIP
yeah,
experience. This was just straight out ticket only, not even
yeah,
front row. I was
yeah.
like, that's freaking
We sh-
egregious.
we should add that to the news of the week, that little story, because I just would like it.
Yes.
But not now. Let's finish. Let's
Yeah, yeah.
finish this. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, come on. You're paying good money. The fans, they want to have a little treasure, to take with them, that experience, whether it be your first time or maybe last time you're going to see it, or it's your 150th time.
Yeah.
You're paying good money to these events. It's and people love to have memories. Let's face fact. Yes, we are not in 1980, 87 or whatever it was when we went to go see Bon Jovi or Cinderella or David Lee Roth or Kiss or whoever. We're not in that universe anymore.
No.
It's a totally different. Everything's about TikTok, Dick Doc, Dip Dop, Bip Bop. Everything's about, you know what I mean. And it's just a different time.
Yeah. Well, I was glad that you brought up the price of the tickets because my first thought when I saw this press release, I had a couple of thoughts, but my first one was, well, I give the band credit for trying, right? I understand what
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to do here. But my second thought then was, if you want it to be like it was in 1987, how about you charge us 1750 a ticket?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was
You know?
immediately what I. That's what I'm just again. I don't know. I don't understand why these things cost so much money.
Right.
I know there's a lot of hands. Listen, I know that you go to your local car dealer, the service center now, and you look at their hourly rate. I think the
Mhm.
last time I looked, it was like $200 an hour. I don't know. It was something. It was either 195 or 250 an hour. It's like ridiculous
It is.
because there's certain things. There's no regulation on this. People could charge what they want, and nobody's there to say no. We got to keep this under So they'll just keep doing these things,
Yeah.
and I you know, and I understand what the cost of living has gone up, a lot since when we were
Yep.
teenagers. I get that. I just looked at this Iron Maiden record that was $7.49.
Right.
You can't get away with buying new vinyl anymore. It seems that without spending 30,
I
35,
was gonna
forty
say it's the
dollars,
price of a hose.
Yeah, exactly. Hose plus five in
That's
some
right.
cases. So it's I don't know. It's just the way it is of the world right now.
Look, I agree. Look, when we spoke about it with Bon Jovi, when they're doing their Nashville like all weekend event, we said that we thought that Bon Jovi was going to try to limit or restrict phone usage because maybe they didn't want the videos to be out there, right? Maybe John's voice still is not up to snuff. I definitely don't think that that is the reason Iron Maiden
No,
is doing this, right? So, and that's why I started
no,
off by
no,
saying
no,
I think the band
no,
still
no.
sounds great. Now, this is not about being afraid to have videos out on YouTube or whatever. I think they're attempting to try to create a certain experience for the fans, but I'm surprised that a majority of the comments I've seen from people so far have been negative reaction to this. I thought that most people, especially our age or older, would be like, yes, thankfully, get rid of those phones. But most people have actually had the opposite, like no freaking way. I'm spending this money, or if I'm there and I want to take a picture and a video, I'm going to. So my
Hmm.
gut tells me, although this is well intended, my gut tells me that when you look out in the crowd, you're going to feel no difference. I wonder if there's lots of phones out, will Bruce kind of like in between songs be like, hey guys, we asked you not to use phones, and try to apply a little pressure to the fans. It'll be interesting
Yeah,
to see how they react to that. You know,
yeah, yeah.
my gut tells me they won't. I thought it was interesting also, the quotes that I just read from the press release. I'll say smartly, was not from any band member. It was from their manager.
Hmm.
So that this way, if there was a little backlash towards the release, it's not towards, Adrian or Bruce or any of the band members. It's like, oh, that their manager is asking us to do this or whatever. So I thought that was an interesting little thing that they decided to do there by having the manager put out the quote instead of a band member. But so it sounds like you think, yeah, this is not going to work at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. And let me just state this too. Iron Maiden is how. I mean, if you want to criticize a band, this is one that I wouldn't be criticizing, only
Right.
in the sense because I mean, any band that a member or original member, I believe original member, like Adrian Smith left in I think in 1990, and then he came back in '99, and they replaced him with I don't know how to pronounce his name, Janik Gers. I'm
There's,
not sure. Yeah, and then he comes back, and they keep him in the band, and they keep
they
it as
keep the
three guitar.
replacement. Right.
I mean, who does that?
Right.
And and the best part is their lead singer frontman is flying the plane. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yep. Yep.
he's flying on tours. I mean, you could watch the documentary. It's a great Iron Maiden doc. I don't remember what it is, but I watched it, and that's when I didn't realize how big Iron Maiden was when I saw how popular they are on, and it's typical, in a lot of other countries. A lot of even a lot of the smaller bands who weren't that big in the U.S. were huge in Japan or wherever else.
Yep.
Um, so I mean, they've always seemed like a really cool band that's been around since their first album in 1980
Yep.
and still going at it, and you don't really hear about drama and all kinds of horse shit,
Agreed.
you know what I mean? With
Agreed.
So there's a
Yep.
lot to be said about that.
Yeah, and I love the way they do their tours where they've been on tour for the last few years and they've been performing a lot of stuff from their newer album that just came out a couple of years ago. And then all of a sudden their next tour, they're focusing on the classic 80s era. And then
Yeah.
they'll probably put out another new album and focus on that. And I love what they do for the fans where it's not only new stuff, it's not only focused on the classic stuff. They kind of try to mix up their set list quite a bit. In fact, this tour that's, I'll say, wrapping up now, they weren't even doing Run to the Hills or Number of the Beast on tour. Imagine
Mm.
that. I mean, that's freaking. On one hand, I think that's crazy, and the other hand, I'm like, oh, that's pretty darn cool if you ask me.
Well, it's
So
like it's like Kiss not doing Rock and Roll All Night, or you know what I
and
mean?
Detroit Rock City, let's just
Yeah.
say, and the fact that they could still sell out arenas and stadiums around the world while focusing on new stuff. I mean, just if I look at all those bands from the 70s, 80s, 90s, I mean, Iron Maiden has to be very damn near the top of that list in terms of global popularity.
Oh, I
Maybe
would think so.
AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Guns N' Roses. I mean, off the top of my head, those are the big three from that era that come to mind.
I agree. Yeah.
And not that I want to get you started,
I know where you're
but
going with this.
how could they friggin' not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Iron Maiden, then? It's
It's a
it's
disgrace.
it's an absolute disgrace. And that's not even Iron Maiden's not even one of my top five bands or something like that. But come on, credit where credit is due. Global influence and impact, and the records that they still put out all these years later, and the tours that
Hmm.
they sell out, and the bands that they've influenced. It's freaking egregious. It's Kathy Lee and it's everybody else involved
Yeah.
in it. Michael Strahan.
Yeah. And again, coolness factor.
Yeah.
The president has Air Force One. They have Ed Force
Ed
One. I mean,
Force One.
come on.
Exactly.
Come on. I
Exactly.
mean, how,
Exactly.
it's just, come on. I mean, I just think that Iron Maiden kind of obviously doesn't fly under the radar because they're so popular all around the world. But I think a lot of times when we talk about, it's easy to say, of that era of music, and I know it's a different band, Poison, Motley Crue,
Mm-hmm.
Bon Jovi, and the Iron Maidens of the kind of get lost in because they weren't so much of a commercial band,
Right. Right.
But I remember, I think it was on Seven Sun, that record Seven Sun, there was actually some keyboards on it. I remember at the
Yes.
time it
Mm-hmm.
being controversial, like, oh my God, I mean they use keyboards, it's
Yep.
like, but again, we're talking the times, we're talking about, bands were trying to kind of compete and catch up. And one band would have, there's the famous story of like when uh Def Leppard got Pour Some Sugar on Me, or Motley Crue has Girls, 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 Kiss was famously trying to write a song,
Yes.
right? And they got like Bang Bang You, and they got all that, let's
Read
put
my
the X in sex,
body.
let's put the X in sex, all these
Mm-hmm.
shit witches that they
Yep.
put out, But it's kind of interesting that time where Kiss had started all these trends, and then they were, and the whole basically '80s. I feel like they were just trying to catch
Chasing
up,
trends. Yep. Mm-hmm.
which
Yep.
that's I mean, especially the Crazy Nights album,
Right.
which
Well, you have the album still behind you. Pull out the Seventh Son album again. I mean, just like you said, I mean, not Metallica, and I had Metallica on my mind because when I mentioned the big three, I'd be remiss if I didn't add Metallica to that list, right?
oh
In
yeah,
terms of
absolutely, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and Metallica is one of the biggest
Metallica,
bands.
maybe the biggest, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Well, they
So
got to be right.
yeah, so I have to make sure I at least throw it. But just go down the track listing of that album.
You're asking me to read early. I barely can read when I'm awake. All right, all right. Moonchild, Infinite Dreams. Can I play with madness?
Love that song.
Yeah, The Evil That Men Do.
I love that
Uh,
song.
Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, The Prophecy, The Clairvoyant, Only
Mhm.
the Good Die Young. Not the Billy
Not
Joel
the Billy
version,
Joel
though.
version.
Produced, engineered, and mixed by Martin Birch. Another Martin Birch does not get,
Yeah.
I feel, spoken about, of how great of a producer, engineer, mixer. These were the days. Labels.
Yes.
So much
Oh, look at
fun.
that. It was. It was.
1988. Boy,
Of
this brings
course.
back memories.
It does.
488. I probably got it when it first came out too. I'm sure. I
April
remember
88.
what.
You're saying, right?
April of
488.
'88. Yep.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Glorious. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, point being, as much as they kind of veered a little bit towards the keyboards and all of that, there's still some great songs on that album.
Speaking of great songs on an album, this Power Slave, the one tune punch of Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Yeah.
When I listen to that music, I just want to start flinging shit. I want to throw chairs. I mean, I remember I remember one time. This goes back. I was cleaning my apartment, listening to those two songs. I think I broke about 3 Swiffers. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I was so.
Oh man,
I
that's
mean,
great.
just oh man, I love those
Yeah,
great songs.
and you don't even have over there in your hands, Peace of Mind and Number of the
I
Beast.
have those on in my other. So I have these records here. For those who know, these records here are mostly from my childhood, my youth. My
You
youth. But as you can see, and you can't see the whole room, there's records all around the room.
right.
I had wound up getting all the a 180 gram
Right.
of a Peace of Mind, a Number of the Beast, the first record,
Mm-hmm.
maybe another one or two others. But
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why to me that tour is going to be awesome. Like you rattled off some of the song titles, but then, and I know they were touring for the Somewhere in Time album a few years
I'm
ago.
looking over there.
You're looking.
I got to check one thing. Hold on, give me
All
one
right,
second.
let's go. Now he's gonna go look for the record collection.
Well, I just want to see. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Yes.
Yeah, like here's one. Look at this. This was pretty cool. This was so people don't think I'm a liar. So this is a is this no prayer for the dying, but
Wow.
this is with a I love the sticker. Free patch. So
Okay.
and this one I actually haven't even opened yet. This is I have a whole backlog of records that I haven't even listened to, but this
Hmm.
was one of the Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast mobile role playing game available now. So
Ooh.
and here's the it's actually cool the way they did this. There's the patch. You can see it's like
Yep.
raised.
Yep. Nice.
Kind of cool.
Nice. Very
So
cool.
wow. 2017 I bought this. Man, the time is just flying.
Yeah. And let me just say this. Is there any band that has cooler album covers than Iron
No,
Maiden? I
no,
don't think so, right?
no, no,
I
no,
don't think so. I
no.
remember, and I still have it somewhere as a kid. I remember sitting down and drawing the number of the beast.
I remember
Um,
you doing that.
and I still
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that drawing somewhere. So one of these days I'll have to take that out. I was, drawn by a 13 or 14-year-old, so it's not great, but
Yeah.
it wasn't bad for a 13-year-old. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this whole no iPhone request plays out for Iron Maiden. I think we both agree it's probably when you're in the crowd and you're looking out at the crowd, it's probably going to look no different. Is just my
Mm-hmm.
gut feeling. So
Yeah.
we will
Yeah.
see. So I did say that it was kind of a big week for different music news stories, and you mentioned the Who before, and just wanted to touch on that. So I'll give you your moment. Zach Starkey was fired for the second time in
Mm.
three. Now, I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but I'm laughing because he was fired, then he was rehired. Pete put out a press release at the time saying there was a misunderstanding. Then, like 3 weeks later, he's fired again. So what are your thoughts on all of that drama? After and he was in the band for almost 30 years, right? So, what's your thoughts on all that drama?
I mean, first, let me just say, obviously there was something that they couldn't get past for whatever it is.
Right.
And mean, we probably, well, knowing Pete Townsend, I mean, he's like, he'll badmouth, he'll say anything about anybody.
Right.
So, are we getting the whole story? What's going on? Obviously not at this point.
No, of course not. No.
But if you're going to do that to somebody who's been in the band for almost 30 years, I feel like there's got to be a good reason to do that. Because why can't you? I mean, how many more shows are they supposed to be doing?
Well, this is supposed to be their final tour now.
Right,
So it's
exactly,
like,
exactly. So
it's not tons of shows. That's around my mind. Like you couldn't just work it out between you guys.
listen, listen, I'll tell you this on a much, 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 much.
Mhm.
How many muches can I throw in there? Small level. I know what it's like when you're working. When you're in a band, it's like four relationships. It's
Right.
hard enough
Mhm.
to maintain one relationship,
Right.
and sometimes there's just certain things you just can't get past for whatever the reason they are. Now, when they're
Mhm.
throwing millions of dollars at you, that's different stories. However, you know, this is really band is really, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey
Oh
at
yeah.
this point. You know what I mean? And there's no more John Entwistle. There has been no more, the Keith Moon in many, many years. And,
Right.
So I guess they just felt that, like, listen, and I can understand this. Why bring there whatever there is, any tensions on that last tour? We want to make this. I'm just thinking out loud.
Of course.
I don't know. Like, and it's a bad look, obviously. He seems like a very likable guy. He's Ringo Starr's son, so he comes
Right.
from royalty, obviously.
Mhm. Yep.
But the thing about the Who, and especially Pete Townsend, he's like he's like Sinatra. They're gonna do it his way, or there's gonna be no way. I
Right.
mean,
Mhm.
he wrote all those songs. He controlled a lot of the band and stuff like that, and and
But I
him
have a
and
feeling this is more Dolce driven than
well,
Townsend driven.
true, and just remember, it's been well documented that Daltrey and Townsend have never been pals.
Right.
They've never been pals, and maybe once again it's a thing. And I'm speculating totally that
Of course.
I don't want to this as he would use bloke. I don't want to have this bloke. I love that he used that word, British bloke.
Bloke.
I don't want this bloke complaining and he's going to be in a bad freaking mood and he's not happy with him. And
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the well, I'm just going based on that
Right.
first time when he was he was upset with him. And
Yep.
listen, all right, Roger's got his own drummer. He gets along with him. I keep it quiet and peaceful. I don't want any nonsense on this. To quote Danny Glover, I'm too old for this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And maybe it just comes down to all that,
Right.
So again, am I happy about it? I don't have that much interest in it, quite honestly. It's not like, I'm following the band like I once did or whatever, but
Right.
I, I, I don't like seeing, these type of things happen to good people, although I really don't know
Of
Zach
course, right.
Sarkey or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, who knows? We don't
Right.
know. I don't
Well, we
know.
only know what we read in the press, right?
Exactly.
We're not in the room, like you said, with any of these guys.
and well, don't let me get started on the press. We know we can't always trust them either,
That's
so
true. Yes.
but anyways, yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because I was like, oh, this worked out. Oh, it doesn't. It's nice. It is going to have a happy ending,
Mhm.
and when I read it, I was like, wait a second, is this like a joke? You know what I mean? That's how I first said, nah, this didn't
Sure.
happen. And then I saw some of the sources like were authentic.
Yes. When I first posted about it the second time, where, even Zach was saying that he was out of the band, there were comments on my Facebook page basically saying at first, Mike, this is old news. This is a month ago. He's back in the band. And I was like,
Mm,
not back in the band. Yeah.
yeah.
And I went back and I read my post and I'm like, I should really make this clear that this is the second time. Even though I had said it, I said, I really got to make this a little bit clearer here. And then people started to catch on that, all right, now wait, he was fired for the second time in just a few weeks. I don't know, it's a crazy story, but it wouldn't stop you, it sounds like, from buying a ticket if the price was right.
No, it wouldn't. It
Was that
wouldn't.
Bill Barker? Was he the host on The
Bob
Price is Right?
Barker.
Bob Barker. Thank you, Bob
Yeah,
Barker.
yeah,
It wouldn't
yeah.
stop you.
Yeah. I would go to Showcase Showdown, and I'd be bidding. Yeah, yeah. No, quite honestly, and no fault to his own. The one thing I was disappointed when we went to go see the Who, besides you complaining in my ear,
Wait, hold on. I did not complain during the show.
hmm,
It was only post-show complaints.
that's true. That's true. Was I felt like the drum sounded so weak that night, and I spotted that he was using electronic drums, and it felt
Hmm.
like it just took away a lot from the Who. I'm expecting that bombastic sound, and maybe it was the sound where we were sitting,
Yeah.
and then what did we see him at the Garden? Right, we
The
saw him.
Garden, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but so my point being is that not that I think they're still going to use probably electronic drums because of it's been known that Townsend's hearing he suffered tremendous. I mean, at one time I remember in the late or early 90s they said he wasn't even be able to tour anymore, his hearing
Right.
so bad. But with technology and in-ears, because I remember back then there was no in-ears. Who was using in-ears on
Of
stage?
course,
It
right.
didn't
Not back
exist.
then. Mhm.
So now you could just put the in-ears in and they give you your volume, and it's
Yep.
so that really changed everything
Yeah.
in a good and bad way.
Agreed.
you know
Agreed. Agreed. Now, what's interesting is obviously we're talking about Zach Starkey being fired from the Who. At the same time, almost like within like 48 hours of each other, the Foo Fighters also announced that they were letting go of Josh Freese
They
after.
should have swapped drummers. That would have been fun.
Yeah, so I
And
did
like,
see people say, "Hey, is Josh going to join the Who?" No, he's not. Is Zach going to join the Foo Fighters? I'm quite
yeah,
sure he's not. But it was just interesting the timing of that, and obviously with Josh Freese, who's a very well known drummer. He's never been specific to one band, but he's latched on with a lot of different bands over the years. I think people were surprised that 2 years into his time with the Foo Fighters and the last year, they haven't done anything since Dave's whole baby scandal. But I think people were just as equally shocked, maybe more shocked about his being fired.
yeah. So, is there any news on that one? I just saw about the firing. Is there?
Yeah, the band has been completely quiet. The band, I don't even think ever announced that he was not in the band anymore. I think it was
Mm,
only Josh that made his comment. And to his credit, he's kind of made light of the situation. As much as he said he was shocked, he then like a day or two later put out like his top 10 reasons why
I
he's
did
no
see
longer
that.
in the band. And he's kind of poking fun and made me think of like David Letterman when David Letterman used to do his top 10 lists years and years ago. And I give Josh credit for making light of the situation, I'm gonna say. And I'm sure he's going to land on his feet. But it's just been like an interesting week for drummers out there, I feel like.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
speaking of drummers, if you haven't seen this, came across my YouTube feed. I watch a lot of YouTube. Um, Google or just do a search on YouTube for Alanis Morissette Letterman first appearance,
Okay.
and Taylor Hawkins was playing drums,
Yep.
right? And you'll understand why she became huge. I
What do you think?
mean, it's a great that she does. You ought to know. It's like in your face. I still think it's a great song, and the energy of the band, and he's hitting those drums like they owe him money. I mean, it's just it's an incredible, and even the bass player, who I give a lot of credit. I don't know who he was, but or who he is, because Flea is known to record the bass line. I mean, he's capturing all the Fleaisms, and the
Really?
band is
Okay.
just killing it, and she's killing it on the stage. Her persona, and you're just like, now I know why she became huge. And supposedly that's when, after that appearance, it was her first television appearance, period, as like she exploded after that. And so, and the reason why I bring this up is like, man, I would kill to see an artist that brought that to these days. You know what I mean? Again, I don't dip my toes in the pools. I'm totally disconnected from today's music.
Okay.
I think I saw Shinedown. Is that the name of a band?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I think I saw it was Shinedown, I think, and Bush, I think, is the opener.
Okay.
Like playing some sort of arena. I'm like, Shinedown, because these bands are like, they sell out arenas, or
Right.
like that's how out of touch I am. I'm like Daryl Hall, John Oates, and the rest of the band. I'm so out of touch, But so a reason why I bring that up is because I'm like, oh, I'm looking for that new, I'm looking for that Foo Fighters. And like, man, Foo Fighters, what, 35 years ago? You know what I mean? Right. It's like, there are a lot of bands that have come out since then, So admittedly, I'm out of touch with these, but it was a, kind of a, and I know I'm going on a little side tangent here about this one, but you brought up drummers and Taylor Hawkins who played with the Foo Fighters. There is a connection here.
There's a connection.
But this is kind of like the post grunge, because that was like 95 going into 96, if I remember when that album came out,
Makes sense.
Just Google search that.
And I did not know that Flea played bass on that. I just learned something. And I just learned this yesterday, talking about Flea. You know the Jewel song, Who Will Save Your Soul?
Yeah.
That's Flea on bass.
Oh, yeah, see?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. I was like, so obviously during that time, because that was also mid-90s, that's why I'm bringing it up, Flea must have been making the rounds playing bass on different people's albums that we necessarily would not have expected. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. I will say this, you were bringing up Alanis's first TV performance. I think I texted this to you and Mario like 2 months ago or a month ago. For those who are watching this, a little bit newer, it's 15 years old, I think, at this point. But for me, check out Hellstorm, Jimmy Fallon, Taste of Poison, their first time on TV. A friggin' phenomenal, phenomenal performance. And you were talking about first performances on TV, and I thought of that. I absolutely love that. I probably watched that video, 20 times in the last 6 months. It's that good, So that's my little newer.
And you were surprised that I saw them live.
I was stunned, but we'll have that conversation maybe another day. I was absolutely stunned that you had seen them live. So anyway, last, I think, thing that we should bring up about this news from this week, and I'm assuming you've probably seen this, but did you see that Ace Frehley canceled his shows this weekend because of illness?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, I thought of you actually instantly.
We should also mention about Billy Joel too.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yes, good point. Very good point. But I thought of you as soon as I saw the Ace announcement, and I guess great point with the Billy Joel one as well. Because I think last time when we were talking about going to see Gene Simmons and all of that, you were like, hey, if I knew Ace was going to do a final tour, I'd go see him, one last time or whatever. And here it is, fans are going to go see him this weekend. It's not, it's only canceling 2 shows, but you never know. And he said, it's nothing serious. He just doesn't feel he could perform this weekend. He's not feeling good. But my first thought went to, these guys are in the mid-70s. This could be literally like the beginning of the end. I hate to say it like that. I mean, like you said, look at what happened with Billy Joel yesterday. He announces that he canceled all of his shows from now through 2026. I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, Billy, you might not be playing live again at this point. What is he? He's in his upper 70s, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the word is on the street right now is because of this disease, which I had never heard of before. That
no, me neither.
He basically cannot perform again. You know.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It's
a shame. It is. Look, I'm hoping that Ace can get back on the road after this weekend, and he'll be fine. It sounds like that will be the case.
He did call Willie Nelson, so I don't know if that's going to help things, but
All right, I don't get that reference.
On the road again.
Oh.
Just keep me raining on the
Oh,
roof.
that
Come
one went over
on,
my head.
that
Oh,
was
so,
easy. I
that
love
was,
that one
yeah,
at
that
you.
one was
That
easy.
was the
Shame on
underhand
me.
softball I just threw you.
Shame on me, man. I blew that one. Yeah. Well, it's an early Saturday morning, so
That's true.
again,
Yeah.
you couldn't read. The brain isn't fully functioning on
Right.
this side.
Right.
But yeah, no, to me that was sad when I saw with the Billy Joel thing. I mean, I honestly I think that could be the end of Billy Joel as a live performer. Unless he pulls an Ozzy and he gets up on stage for like one show or something like that in a year or two. But I think there's a chance that Billy Joel may never perform live again. So it goes
Yeah.
back to what we said when we went to the Gene Simmons show. You know, the time that we have to see these bands and these artists that we grew up with is very, very limited.
Well, it's funny you say that because I don't know why I thought Gene Simmons was 72. I mean, I just lost track
Yeah,
and I
when you
saw he's
said that
70.
last time, I thought he was in his mid 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I said 75. I was like, oof. I
yeah,
mean, I didn't realize.
yep,
So you're
yeah,
right. You
yeah.
know?
And to kind of bring this all 100% full circle, I think that's for me one of the reasons why when a band like Iron Maiden asks you to not take your phone out and record, well, I kind of want pictures, perhaps not even necessarily video, though I don't mind a video clip or two. But if I'm seeing Iron Maiden for the last time, if I'm seeing Ace Frehley for the last time, if I'm seeing Billy Joel, whoever it is for the last time, I kind of want my own personal memories of my vantage point that I was there that night and just some of my own personal memories for that. Doesn't mean I need to have my phone out for 2 hours, but I
Mm-hmm.
kind of do want some of my own photos or quick video clips from that event. I'm paying lots of money for it. And I want those memories because as I get older, I forget. I mean, you texted me something yesterday about going to a Yankee game together, and you were telling me, hey, do you have this in your life schedule? And I did. But I'll be honest, I really don't remember going to that game. you
Yeah.
know,
I don't
you know,
either.
yeah. I'm like, I think we might have sat on the third base line and we might have been, close to the field. But was that a game I went to with my brother? Like
Well,
I
that was another game.
okay. Yeah.
I
So
think
now
that
I
was
was like,
another
I
game.
gotta look and see if I have pictures. That was my first thought. I was like, where will we sit in for that game? Do I have pictures from that night? I gotta look and see. And I haven't had a chance to look since you texted me
That
this
said
last night.
14 years ago.
Yeah, 14 years ago.
Well, do you remember it was the game that we went to that it was raining out and we got on the TV because the ball got hit twice.
That's right. Yeah, you see, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow, I
I don't
forgot.
think that was 14. If that was 14 years ago, that's it. I'm done for the day.
It,
I can't believe that was 14 years ago. But I guess it could be because did
yeah.
we go to the game twice together? I only
I was gonna
remember
say,
going
how
with
many
you
Yankee
once.
games have we gone together? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point is though, my first thought when you texted that to me is like, I gotta see if I could find pictures that we took that night, at the game. I don't want to find a friggin' news clip of the game. That's not what I'm looking. Although you're saying we were on TV, so maybe I do want to find that. But my point being, I want to find my memories from that, and that's where the whole Iron Maiden thing, and I'm tying in the Ace Frehley thing and the Billy Joel thing, could be the last time you see Iron Maiden. I want some of my own personal keepsakes from this.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Even look, we were talking before with the Foo Fighters and Taylor Hawkins. I went to their show in Brooklyn which was about 6 or 8 months before Taylor Hawkins passed away. And when he did, the first thing I did is went back to my videos and I was watching, he had done the Bee Gees song, was it You Should Be Dancing, I think, that night. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the first thing I did when he passed away. I watched my own memory from that. So they're kind of bringing all of these different topics together unintentionally, but I'm just kind of thinking of how they are related that's something that's important to me when I'm spending money. And again, I don't need to have my phone out for 2 hours, but I want some of those personal memories.
Yeah, I agree. I
So
agree.
I'll be curious to see what the fans have to say about this. We just covered a bunch of topics in a pretty short time. What are your thoughts on Iron Maiden trying to limit the phone use during concerts? Do you think that that is actually possible? Do you think that that's going to happen? Or do you think everybody's going to have their phones out? Do you like what they're trying to do? Do you wish they went further? Do you wish they just stayed quiet? I'm really curious what people have to say about that. What did you think of some of the drummer firings this past week? The Who, the Foo Fighters. What are your thoughts on that? And then, like we said, with Ace Frehley and Billy Joel, putting out their announcements separately and very different, but both of them with sicknesses. What are your thoughts on that? And just how we tied it all together here at the end. Not being able to take pictures at a concert or videos, and maybe seeing a band for the last time. Just I really look forward to everybody's comments on this. To me, this is a very interesting conversation, especially as we get a little bit older and we know that the time seeing some of these bands are limited. So we look forward to your comments. Anything else, my friends, you want to say before we wrap this bad boy up?
It was against Kansas City, the game that we went to go see. So
Yes. I sent you the screenshot. It was in my live schedule. It said who the game was against and the final score. I even have in my.
I thought it said Blue Jays.
I thought it did also. Actually, now that you say that, so you're saying you're saying I have a mistake in my spreadsheet?
No. I'm saying that it was another game.
Oh, so we went to 2 games.
Yes, it was the year after. This 2012. We went to go see him against the Kansas City Royals.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I was nervous that my spreadsheet was wrong.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, that would have been disastrous if that happens. But for those who don't know what we're talking about, this is crazy, but I'll put it out there. I keep an Excel spreadsheet of my life and everything I know I've done on any given day over the last 50 plus years. So Vincent last night texted me. He's like, hey, do you have this in your spreadsheet? And it was a Yankee game we went to 14 years ago. I pulled up the spreadsheet. I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah. So that's what we're referring to. But I refer to that often because it'll be like, oh, when did we see David Lee Roth in the 80s? David Lee Roth. Oh, that was on, October 17th, 1988 in Cinderella Opens or whatever the date was. Right. So, I enjoy those kind of things. And as I get older, I forget them, which is why I like to take pictures, which is why I like to document stuff, because I'm a freaking old bastard. I'm forgetting all these things. So Iron Maiden, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I want my freaking memories.
Well said.
Thank you. Anything else, my friend?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Well, then on that editor's note, I think we are out of here. We'll do this with the Ringo.
Ooh.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out.
Alrighty, there you have it. We look forward to seeing and reading your thoughts and your comments on cell phone usage at concerts. When you go to a show, do you enjoy taking photos and taking videos of the show? What do you think about Iron Maiden asking fans to limit their cell phone usage at concerts? Do you think it's possible? Do you like what they're asking for? Or do you think it'll kind of be business as usual by the fans in attendance? Also, what do you think about Ace Frehley and Billy Joel having to cancel concerts? Ace Frehley for just one weekend right now, and Billy Joel for over a year. And of course, what do you think about the changing of the guard for the drummers in both The Who and the Foo Fighters? As always, all opinions are welcome, and we look forward to seeing and reading everything you have to say. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.